It is the honourable thing to do. Santa sighed. Speaking of which... He knelt by the deceased Merryvale, gently closed the elf's minuscule eyelids, and covered the distorted face with his hanky. Scented with cinnamon and richly embroidered in red and green, it was large enough to cover half the elf's body. As he did so, Puck took off his pointy hat and looked down. "Keep watch here," Santa told him after a minute of respectful silence. "Don't let anyone come near." "But the shift's about to start. The station's elves will—" "I'll summon everyone to the Great Hall. As soon as they're all gathered there, I'll send the Tinkerwiths to help you. They can do their thing while I talk to the others. Just tell them to take Merryvale to the infirmary and that I shall meet them there as soon as I can." "Very well, Herr Claus." Santa stood up, with some difficulty, for his joints were anything but supple, and went back to the sliding door, the entire coach shaking under his thumping steps. He had to open it to its full width to let his wide waist through. Fortunately, all the train carriages were Santa-sized. Puck jumped out and helped Santa slide the door shut. He couldn't help noticing the slight twitch on the man's left eye. "It'll be all right, Herr Claus," Puck said, feeling the bitter cold and lifting the furry trim of his cute elf coat. "It always is. We survived the baby boom in the 60s and the oil crisis in the 70s. Remember?" Santa reached for his smoking pipe, looked at his elf's kindly meant smile, and let out a weary exhalation. "Oh, Puck, I wish I had your Christmas spirit." The Bells. Santa walked past the Great Hall and crossed the main square, his stride so brisk he felt his belly bounce up and down, like a bowlful of jelly, if you will. The sweet smells of breakfast already wafted from the refectory, as did the peaty scents from the workshop's kilns. Right in front of him, seemingly at the centre of the world, was the majestic Christmas tree, gleaming with thousands of multicoloured LED lights. Santa remembered with some nostalgia the times when that tree would have been ablaze with tiny candles, their amber flames flickering in the breeze. That, of course, had been before health and safety regulations went mad. Before the Union. Part of him could not blame them, though. He looked south. Well, everywhere was south, and saw the shabby roofs of shanty toy, dotted haphazardly down the hill at the centre of the North Pole complex. Doleful shrieks of smoke ascended from hundreds of twisted chimneys, most of them made from rusty steel from rejected Meccano sets. Santa looked wistfully the other way, to the higher ground of the complex, right next to the luminous, candy-like North Pole's, pole, stood the imposing Claus Manor, surrounded by its landscaped garden with perfectly trimmed spruces, all profusely lit and decorated. The substantial stone chimney, the astronomy tower, and the colourful light that came through the many stained-glass windows were a stark contrast to the elves' humble dwellings. He sighed. This was no time to ponder on communist ideals, and rushed to pull the velvet string tied to the golden bells, only rung for true emergencies. Set on a tall golden pole, only Santa and Mrs. Claus were tall enough to reach them. Just as the booming chimes travelled across the North Pole, awakening and alerting elves and reindeer alike, Santa heard his wife's voice. "Nick! Nick!" she called, as she came running from Claus Manor, looking distraught. Poor Mrs. Claus had been the one who'd let Puck in, but he and Santa had had to leave without time for explanations. She now came with a little silver tray, bringing Santa's breakfast cocoa.